Dallas Cowboys training camp 2023 here in beautiful Oxnard, California. The Cowboys have been practicing for nearly 2 weeks here. It's been now 13 days and counting since the Cowboys charter landed here in Southern California, and here it is. We've got a Dallas Cowboys practice for you live from here in Oxnard. Bill Jones along with Isaiah Stanback, Kyle Yeomans, Patrick Walker of DallasCowboys.com, and with the team getting on the practice field. All these gentlemen right here have been able to watch every single moment of practice so far, and they'll be here all the way to the end of this training camp. But isn't it great to have football back, Isaiah?
It is absolutely awesome. Football is back. Guys have got pads on. You hear the contact again. You got some smack talking. That's how you know, football season is here, man. I'm here for it. I love it.
It's been fantastic because, of course, everybody wants to talk about the weather. That's fantastic as well. But it's the football that we're here for. We could be in 104-degree heat just like what you guys are dealing with in Dallas. But as long as football's back, I think everybody's cool, calm, and collected, at least if you're outside of the white lines, because there's been a ton of competition and a ton of desperation going on here in Oxnard.
Listen, the bottom line is football sounds means life is good again, okay? And that's what we're hearing out here. The guys have the pads and the helmets on, and like you said, Isaiah, there's some smack talk going on. The competitive juices are flowing. Guys are making plays. Can't get any better than this.
Maybe we start right there with the trash talk, since that became a viral thing on the internet this week. You've been there before.
Absolutely.
Trash talk is a part of this game, isn't it?
Absolutely. If you don't have smack talking, like, what do you really have? A lot of times, see this day and age in 2023, there just happens to be a lot of cameras around. You know, when there's cameras around, then you're going to get a little bit more insight as to what takes place. Typically, every day on this practice field, there is no drama. There's no beef. Those guys are two highly competitive guys that are very successful in this league, and they're making each other better by holding each other accountable.
Yeah, and, of course, if you missed it, it's a viral video of Trayvon Diggs talking to Dak Prescott, and a lot of the conversation has gone to the respect factor. Dak Prescott is your quarterback. That's the leader of your team. He's got the red jersey on for a reason, so why is Trayvon Diggs trash talking? Well, that's because Dak Prescott said he starts the trash talk most of the time. He's one of the best ones in the locker room, he says. He rated himself number 2 behind Jaron Kurtz, who, by the way, is also on the defensive side with Trayvon Diggs. So there's been that competition aspect, but there's a level of desperation to it. This team knows the roster that they have. They know how much talent that they have going into the 2023 season. So if that's the case, you got to up the guys around you. You got to have that accountability toward each other, and that's how you're going to end up winning football games.
You know, one thing I loved about what Dak Prescott said in describing the trash talk is that it's a part of his leadership skills and what he's trying to accomplish. It's a game of chess. He knows for a fact that some guys do in fact practice and play harder when trash talk is involved. So that's why Dak Prescott, to his own admission, he starts it pre-practice. He starts it in the locker room, but then it spills onto the field as he's hoping, but that's where the cameras and the microphones are. So ladies and gentlemen, if you've ever played a competitive sport, if you've ever done anything competitive, or if you're a child of a family with siblings, that's right, then you know trash talk is a part of it, but that does not mean that the bonds are fractured.
And Dak Prescott, of course, has a master's in leadership management. He knows all about that. And there are certain people who can take trash talk and some that don't. You want to see some real trash talk? Go in that media tent here on the tennis court. There's where the real trash talking is going on. All right, as you have watched practice here the last couple of weeks and what you're looking forward to seeing today, each of you give me one aspect of this team, whether a player or a position group that you're interested in watching.
Well, obviously being a former receiver, I'm going to keep my eyes on that position group, particularly right now. Obviously, we understand that the top 3 spots are pretty much sewn up with CD, Michael Gallup out there, and obviously the addition of Brandon Cooks. But I'm looking to see what Jalen Tolbert's going to do. I want to see what the other Jalen Brooks is going to do. He's been showing up and having some really good practices as well. Is Simi Fehoko going to show back up like he did last training camp and start making some plays? So I'm really watching to see what that number 4, 5 spot over there, the receiver position, is looking like as his offense continues to develop.
You've always been a passing game guy, so you've got your eyes on the passing game. I'm a man of the trenches. I like the dirty trench warfare that you see on the inside. Yes, so my eyes are on the offensive line. No Zach Martin here at camp. That's a huge storyline as well. You don't have a leader like that in your room. I think ultimately it's going to have an effect on the guys around you. but it also provides opportunity for guys to step up. We've seen a couple guys step in, like Josh Ball, TJ Bass, even as an undrafted free agent. He's had a great camp. Josh Ball's maybe had an up-and-down camp. So there's a lot of learning going on up front on that offensive line, and because there's so much learning, there's going to be a lot of rotation as well. Mike McCarthy wants to continue to rotate guys in, get a ton of reps, and those are reps that are going to ultimately carry into the preseason.
For me, I'm going to go back to the defensive side of the ball, and that's because if you look at every role for the defense, there's a star impact player there, but there's a depth issue at linebacker, and I'm trying to figure out who's going to step up in that LB3 role and be that definitive guy. You already know what you get from Leighton Vander Esch. He's no longer truly battling health issues, and he's back at a Pro Bowl level. But then Damone Clark, full offseason with the Cowboys now because he battled the neck injury and the neck surgery last year, so he couldn't participate. He looks faster, quicker, more decisive, and he's added muscle. I think he's going to have a breakout year. But keep an eye on Jabril Cox, ladies and gentlemen. He has carried over from OTAs to minicamp, and now training camp he's making plays. But can Jabril Cox hold off guys like rookie DeMarvion Overshown, who's going to be a flex player in a big way for Dan Quinn? And then whomever gets that LB3 role / LB4, then it becomes the roster equation with special teams. So it's going to be interesting to see how that shakes out.
You know, can I say this just right off the top? We're talking about the learning curve and so forth. We just have Patrick here for our first segment here. But what a great addition he has been to DallasCowboys.com.
Completely agree.
I learned so much from Patrick just when I hear him ask a question of Mike McCarthy in the press conference. It's they're always such thoughtful questions and thought-provoking questions.
You honor me, sir. You honor me. This is a legend giving me a compliment. We need this clipped so I can put it out. Mom, did you hear? Did you hear? Bill Jones complimented your boy.
He's not even a TV guy, and he's up here doing TV things. He's a writer at heart, and here he is coming over. You talk about flex players. You talk about versatility. That's the man right there, Patrick No-C Walker. DeMarvion Overshow's got some competition.
Yeah, there we go.
And as we go along here over the course of the next couple hours, we'll have Nick Harris and Nick Eekman and Nate Newton will be joining us as well. But position versatility, that's what it is all about. Of course, a storyline, huge storyline in this training camps. What's this offense going to look like? Get any glimpse out here yet?
Absolutely. The West Coast offense is something that I'm very familiar with. To go all the way back to my University of Washington days where I was playing quarterback. It is all about high precision passes, quick routes, get the ball out of the quarterback's hand, get it in the hands of your playmakers. They're trying to make it easy reads for Dak so that he's not sitting back there thinking, nor is he putting a lot of stress on the offensive line for them to sit back there and protect all day long. This offense is going to be predicated on moving the ball consistently and keeping the ball out of the hands of the opposing offense.
And moving the chains. You got to move the chains in order to keep those drives alive. And there were times last year where Dallas struggled on 3rd down and 4th down. I think toward the end of the year they were ranked in the top half of both of those categories, but you can always see a step up in that regard. I loved what Dak Prescott had to say the other day when he took the podium Thursday. He said that it's not a change that's uncommon. Having a scheme change and a coordinator change, it's the second time he's gone through it specifically. The first one was changing to Kellen Moore. Now it's changing to Mike McCarthy. And he said this time around it's a lot more information, but the team is taking it in better, which is very that's encouraging from a Cowboys standpoint, because this is a team that needs to see an uptick on offense, because at some point you got to match what that defense has been doing.
And while the Cowboys and Mike McCarthy have been going through their installs, OTAs, minicamp, training camp, one question that I continue to pose to Mike McCarthy is this offense Texas Coast, as Dak Prescott dubbed it, is this going to be predicated upon versatility? That's starting to play itself out in training camp. You're starting to see Deuce Vaughn as the receiver out of the backfield, but also lining up in the slot. Kevontae Turpin lining up in the slot. Speed, quickness, that's going to be big for this offense.
All right, our thanks to Patrick for joining us, and we continue with more coverage of Dallas Cowboys training camp practice in just a moment. Dallas Cowboys Star Magazine Training Camp Preview is now available. This year's edition features scouting reports, position analysis, a pull-out schedule poster, and articles from your favorite Cowboys writers like Nick Harris. Get your training camp preview today at dallascowboys.com/star. And yes, the line of cars, not only this Saturday, but last Saturday for the opening ceremonies, stretched down Ventura Avenue here in Oxnard for more than a mile before the parking lots opened, and then a stream of Cowboys fans making their way into Dallas Cowboys Training Camp Practice 2023. Hello again, Bill Jones, Isaiah Stanback, Kyle Yeomans, and now we've got Nick Harris at DallasCowboys.com as the practice is getting underway behind us here. And last weekend was the opening ceremonies. This week there was a huge crowd out here, and I think this Saturday's crowd is going to match it because this time, as the kickers are kicking into us right now.
We're in the game. This is live.
This is the line of fire that we're in because this is the first padded practice on a Saturday for the fans to come out and watch.
And what better way to come out and watch the team than to watch a padded practice? This is about as close to the game as you're going to get for fans. It is absolutely awesome. I love seeing these guys run around full speed, thudding each other up. No injuries. Don't need any of those. But I love to see full speed reps, so that you can get a good idea of what your team's looking like this year.
Yeah, just keep a head on a swivel is all I've got to say, because there's going to be a lot of action on the field, a lot of action around us as balls are flying at us left and right. I think overall the kicking competition hasn't gone well today, safe to say. There's been a couple of misses, and most of them from pretty point-blank range.
Yeah, we should explain that we are about 10 yards to the kicker's left of the goalpost, and Brandon Aubrey sends one just over my head.
Nice hands by the fan back there.
Nick Harris, what is it that you're watching out here besides the kickers right now?
I will say the kickers will have a little bit more of an opportunity later in the Mojo moment. Looks like the kickers will be able to be on site for that one. But seeing out here today, bringing the energy with the pads on today, with these fans, with this crowd. We were in the back tent area, and I was, still getting some work done from the press conference, and I could hear this crowd roar up whenever these players came out. So definitely a lot of energy here in the building here in Oxnard.
That one right there was a thing of beauty, though, from Brandon Aubrey. By the way, you talk about the press conference. We should point out, as you all know as Cowboys fans, that DeMarcus Ware, as well as former Cowboy Chuck Halley and former Cowboy for 1 year, his last year in the league, Zach Thomas, the Texas Tech Red Raider and Miami Dolphin great, of course, being inducted into the Hall of Fame in Canton today. Just prior to Mike McCarthy's press conference here about an hour ago, DeMarcus gave his speech, and Coach McCarthy actually delayed his press conference for a few moments because Roxanne Medina had on her laptop DeMarcus giving his speech, and Coach McCarthy and members of the media were able to watch DeMarcus' speech, and what a great speech it was.
Yeah, he's always – you played a little bit with DeMarcus.
Yeah, D-Dub, man. He's absolutely amazing. That's one of the best humans that you can come across. Amazing player as well. Obviously, I'm happy that he's getting honored in this manner. The rest of the league, there's been a lot of guys, even on this roster, that are modeling their game after him. So kudos to him and congratulations.
That was one of the first things that Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence talked about, both as young edge rushers, was I want to be like DeMarcus Ware. You want to be like 94, and you can see little nuances in the game for both of those guys that have been, of course, now a staple for the Cowboys the last couple of years, trying to go back and mirror some of what DeMarcus Ware brought to the table from an energy standpoint, a leadership standpoint, and so on and so forth.
And as we watch the defensive line here, what is it that you're looking for, Nick? This is a really strong defensive line and a lot of depth on this team at D line.
Absolutely. It's probably the strongest defensive line in my lifetime. You look at all the guys that are not only starting, but the guys that are rotating in. There's aggressiveness, there's athleticism, there's physicality with this group. And even with Sam Williams being on and off the practice field dealing with a shoulder strain through the first week and a half of camp, it's allowed some other guys like Dante Fowler to get more reps, and he's had a strong camp. Micah Parsons is coming into another year and somehow has found another gear that we didn't even know about. He's like a Bugatti there on the edge, and he's been fantastic through camp so far as well.
Is there any doubt who the best player on the field is?
Absolutely not.
Not right now. Not any chance. And you also you got to talk about the merging of outside pressure and interior pressure, because that's something that the Cowboys haven't necessarily had together in quite some time. They've either had one or the other. They have had great inside players, or they, for the most part, have had great outside players. Now you've got a little bit of both. You've invested on the interior defensive line. Making the trade last year for Jonathan Hankins helped you on the inside. You've invested in top 100 picks like Chauncey Golston, Neville Gallimore, and then you come out in 2023 and you spend the 26th overall pick to go get Mozzie Smith. So now that investment starts to match up across the board, and it's more balanced from the defensive front, and that's something I think Dan Quinn's going to have a lot of fun with.
You know, Isaiah, I think Mozzie's being modest right now. You just watch him walk on the field, and you would say he is in the top 1, 2, or 3 of the strongest players on the field. Now, we asked him about it, and he gave credence to the veterans. He mentioned Tyron and some other guys, but I'm thinking Mozzie might be the strongest.
He's pretty doggone strong. That dude's a house in there. And to Kyle's point, in terms of the investment that the Cowboys organization have made in their interior defensive line over the last year and a half, really, adding Hankins and obviously adding Mozzie Smith, not only is it going to allow for us to have a presence on the interior defensive line in terms of stopping the run, which everybody's focused on, but what does it do for the outside guys? Defensive ends now have one-on-one matchups. You talk about the second level, the linebackers are able to free flow now because they have to worry about offensive linemen working up to them and getting on them. So that's going to be paid dividends, and I'm looking forward to seeing these guys show up.
And I will say one thing about the interior defensive line. You know, coming into camp, it was kind of written in that Mozzie Smith was going to be the starter. Maybe not week 1, but definitely by midseason once he gets going. But Jonathan Hankins has had a fantastic camp. And coming in here and being able to come in as a first-round pick with competition, that's only going to help Mozzie going forward.
As we move to the special teams portion of the early part of practice here, number 9, Cavante Turpin. We saw him in the preseason. He parlayed that into a Pro Bowl selection in the regular season. And Cavante Turpin, not only will he be returning kicks, I think he's going to be prevalent in this offense this year.
He's starting to show up, man. I know that was the jump that everybody was looking forward to seeing this year. Last year, everybody was yelling from the mountaintop saying, we want to see more Turpin. We want more Turpin. Well, last year he had to get his feet wet and get established as a return man. He did that. Now the box that he wants to check is showing everybody that he's fully capable of being a valuable asset at the receiver position.
Well, I think you look at Cavante Turpin and how much he's grown over these last 12 months. I mean, I remember sitting down with him last year and asking him, what are some of the goals? He said, I just want to make the team. I just want to be there. I want to make an impact. That was ultimately when he was signed in training camp of 22, what his goals were. Now he's saying, I want to be a Pro Bowler not only as a return man, I want to make the Pro Bowl as a wide receiver. And those are lofty goals, of course. But with that being said, he believes that he can do so. He believes he can make that sort of impact. And just a reminder, when he won the USFL MVP, he didn't win it as a returner. He won it as a wide receiver, and what type of impact he made on the offensive side of the football, even though he's certainly going to be a prevalent star in special teams again.
Yeah, when you understand the context of Cavante Turpin and what he had to do last year, I think it makes you even more excited for what he can bring this year. Coming in, not really having an offseason, fresh off that USFL season, going into training camp and then playing the full 19, 20 games in the NFL, you know, he didn't have a chance to get a break. So getting that full offseason this year, understanding the offense, Mike McCarthy said it earlier this week when he said he's not a guy that will just come in sometimes. He's going to be a guy that is a key piece that will rotate in and get key offensive time.
You know, and when you look at him last year, I think we, our fans and members of the media, we were saying, figure out a way to get Cavante the ball on offense. Well, he had one catch and he had 3 carries during the season. But, I mean, just learning the offense, coming in as late as he did, he was behind the 8 ball to begin with last year, and so you really couldn't expect much. Now they've had a full year to work with him. Another guy, he's not out here now catching punts, but Deuce Vaughn early in camp was out catching punts as well. I think a lot of people are going to be excited to see him in these preseason games. The 6th-round draft pick out of Kansas State, all 5 feet 5 inches of him. There's Cavante there. He's such a natural catcher of the football, whether it is on punt returns, kickoff returns, or as a receiver.
Yeah, some things you just can't teach, Bill, and that's one of the things that he brought to this team. Obviously, last year, he's going to continue to do so this year in the return game. But you brought up, you know, young Deuce Vaughn, and he has some of those same qualities. Obviously, he's at the running back position, but I think he's going to be able to show his value as well in the return game. Should Cavante Turpin start to show more of a role on the offensive side, if they want to pull back the reins on him, they have an alternative option for them.
One thing I'm interested to see is if Deuce Vaughn will get some return opportunities in practice, because you don't really want the first chance for Deuce Vaughn to maybe see a punt, see a kick return, to be in the preseason games, because that's where, like you said, he's going to have to make his money. He's going to have to come in and show out in the preseason games in order to really distance himself in the running back competition, or at least just show that he's willing to make and able to make the 53-man roster. So the fact that Turpin is seeing exclusively these punt return opportunities shows that maybe Deuce Vaughn isn't going to see those chances.
I think so too. And you think back to his career at Kansas State. I haven't reviewed it to see if he returned any punts at K-State.
He did a little bit. He had 9 kick returns, and I think he had 7 punt returns at Kansas State. But he led the FBS in all-purpose yards. I mean, He was a receiver. He was a runner. He can do that sort of thing.
He was such an all-purpose back.
No doubt.
And used so much in that K-State offense. In fact, if you look at all of the running backs that were in the draft this year, he and Bijan Robinson were almost identical with their stats, and in fact, Deuce was actually a little bit ahead of Bijan in his total production in his 3 years playing at Kansas State.
Yeah, I would have hated to have had to make that all Big 12 vote on running back last year between Deuce and Bijan. But talking about Deuce, man, he's lightning in a bottle, and just being involved on special teams, even if he's not returning right here, you can see him in this coverage set right here, being able to get integrated and get comfortable with these sets. It'll only help him if he has to step in as a returner.
By the way, on the flip side, the punter goes unnoticed unless you're the special teams coach, John Fossil, or the head coach, Mike McCarthy. But the Cowboys are pretty set at punter. Brian Anger's done a pretty good job, wouldn't you say?
Brian Anger is a complete dude. I was telling Kyle prior to the broadcast, I had the privilege of not only playing with him, but obviously protecting him as a personal protector during my last year in the NFL down there in Jacksonville. And this dude
that either says how young Isaiah is or how old he is.
I know. I'm a spring chicken out here, Phil.
I don't know. There were 2 options to that, Isaiah. There were 2 sides of it, my friend.
No, but I mean, it's awesome to have somebody. Obviously, he didn't make the Pro Bowl last year, but the year before, he did an amazing job.
I just saw Deuce Vaughn go all the way back down. You talk about personal protector. He was on the return team that time, and he came all the way back down, and he laid a block on Mandel just to spring Cavante Turpin enough. That goes back to what Nick was saying. Even if he's not returning kicks and he's not returning these punts, the effort is there from Deuce Vaughn, and that's the little things you want to look at on these special team drills.
That low center of gravity, it takes some getting used to as a defender if you're going up against him, whether that be if he's taking a carry up the middle or right here on punt coverage. That's you got to get used to that. You don't see that in the NFL.
Low man wins.
It's the low
ground. He will always be the low man.
Absolutely.
The other thing on special teams obviously is so important for the young guys making the team. The other thing we look for out here in these training camp practices is the competition at the gunner as well.
Yeah.
And that's so critical for whether it be a DB or a wide receiver making a team and being able to get down and cover kicks.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of Eric Scott out there. I'm also seeing a lot of Jalen Brooks. Both of those guys are obviously
Kelvin Joseph too out there a little bit.
Yep, Kelvin obviously having some experience, but some of the newer additions to this roster are going to have plenty of reps to go out there and improve their case and their willingness to play special teams. It's not just whether can you play special teams. A lot of it comes down to do you have the heart and the will to go out there and be selfless and help your team.
I really like seeing Eric Scott Jr. coming off the field after gunning down the sideline, and immediately he's picked up by C.J. Goodwin. C.J. Goodwin's a veteran on this team for one reason, and that's special teams. The way that he brings a knowledge to the game, a knowledge to that locker room, and really he's the right-hand man of John Fossil. Him being able to take that time with a rookie and spend that time teaching and getting in his head, making sure that he knows the right place to be, that's going to be super beneficial for a 6th-round pick trying to make the roster.
And we've talked about these rookies having opportunities at gunner, whether it be Eric Scott or Jalen Brooks. A guy that's been in the league for a little bit, but in his first year with the Dallas Cowboys, Tyron Johnson, the wide receiver out of Oklahoma State, originally from New Orleans. He's gotten some work at gunner as well, and that speed, man, it's been fantastic there on the edge on punt coverage.
He's been fun to watch in team drills, too. He's kind of shown out a little bit. I really like some of the things that Tyron has done. I think overall in the preseason there are going to be some names that come up at the wide receiver position. He might be one that could shock some people.
Yeah, he's going to be one. But also when you think about special teams, okay, usually there's 5 core special teamers. When you talk about Bones Fossil, Bill, 5 core special teams are usually kind of the foundation and pillars of all your special teams units. And you got to remember, they lost Luke Gifford and they also lost Noah Brown.
Good
so
point.
2 guys that were huge assets in terms of special teams. There's going to be 2 other guys who are going to have to really step up and take this role in the preseason.
That's exactly right. And we'll try. Here's a little tip as you watch practice, because we've got our rosters in front of us right here, the crack media relations staff. with one of those, Bront, walking by us right now. They're so good in giving us updated rosters every day, even if there's no changes on the roster. So here's what you do. If you're watching from home, go on DallasCowboys.com, pull up a roster, and you can put numbers with names. We'll try to do that as we go along, too, and give you the number as well as some of the guys we're talking about. Number 80, Tyron Johnson, one of those guys we were just talking about. Another guy that has stood out, the 7th-round draft pick, 83, Jalen Brooks, who has a great story and I think has a great chance of making this team as a late-round draft pick, and a lot like Noah Brown was a 7th-round draft pick out of Ohio State several years ago.
Yeah, and looking at the special teams roles that you have to fill with Noah Brown and Luke Gifford, I said, don't want to talk too much about the rookies, but I think 2 rookies could take those spots, with Jalen Brooks taking Noah Brown's spot and DeMarvion Overshown, number 35 out here. I think he could take Luke Gifford's spot. Those are 2 guys that have come in, put their nose down, and are trying to make this team with special teams, and I think they've done a good job so far.
And for those of us who've had the pleasure of being able to interview both of those guys, what stud people they are, human beings they are, as much as football players. You can understand Will McClay and the whole scouting staff, what they're looking for football players first, but they're looking for high character guys, and those guys fit the mold right there.
They check the boxes all the way down, and this is, I think, the rookie class as a whole is like that, and you've seen it from guys like Eric Scott Jr. and company as well. But you mentioned DeMarvion Overshown and just what type of a superhuman he is. Isaiah and I, we had a great chance to get to talk with the rookie class. We had a rookie premiere where we were on stage with the guys, put them out of their element a little bit. It was in front of a big crowd and kind of tried to get them up and have some
Solo
fun.
Personality.
DeMarvion Overshown's a performer. And I'm not even just talking about in between the white lines. He stepped up and he sang an entire verse of a country song. I mean, as is. He's from Arp, Texas. He's from Beast, Texas,
Population
as they like to call it.
926. Well, it's 925 now because DeMarvion
Dallas. Yeah, that's a good point. They may have some move out there because they're churning out talent on the football field and off of it with DeMarvion representing. But he's just a superhuman. He's been great to talk to, and I could say that about a number of guys that are rookies coming into this situation and trying to make the team.
Okay, when we come back here at Dallas Cowboys Practice 2023, the 4th padded practice of the week. It was they were in pads on Monday and Tuesday, and then again on Thursday, and now here on Saturday. It's offense and defense fundamentals, full line drills when we come back. We're just getting started here. Dallas Cowboys Practice 2023 on a beautiful 74-degree day. Oh, we aren't supposed to mention temperature. It's a beautiful day here in Oxnard, and we're back in a moment.
Killed it, Nick. Killed it.
Oh, yeah.
Great job.
I forgot, Nick, you're only here for this one segment. Thank you. The Emmy Award-winning Deep Blue docuseries is back, and this year's stories have been announced. Each one will air every Thursday, 7 o'clock Central Daylight Time, starting on August 10th on the Cowboys Now app and on the Cowboys official Twitter and Facebook pages. Topics include this year the great Hall of Famer Chuck Halley being inducted today, the Tom Landry Sniper Game, draft class of 2005, which, of course, included Hall of Famer D. Ware, and War Stories 2, behind the scenes in the Cowboys draft war room. Bill Jones, Isaiah Standback, Kyle Yeomans, and now Nick Eatman of DallasCowboys.com is here for this segment. Nick, first, to start things off, tell us about your new show on DallasCowboys.com, your podcast.
Well, it's called Cowboys. It's called Cowboys Storyline, and I get to talk as much as I want because it's just me.
It's the perfect show.
Yeah, maybe it depends on who you ask, but it really is going to be a show that we also can kind of throw back to the fans. Right now out here, we're a little limited with that as far as phone calls, and that's where the storyline part of it is going to. But,
I get it.
Play on words.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah, capital L on that storyline. And also there'll be some time with some story time with Nick because I like to throw back, stories from the past or whatever, because I've been here a few years. So, it's just a chance. It's a 30-minute show. It's a little different format than we've had. We're going to try it out and see. It's not just me because, the producer, Chris Beam, does a great job when we have to do it. Sometimes we have to do it more than once, like yesterday. Nothing like interviewing a player, Malik Hooker, for 15 minutes, and then all of a sudden, like 30 minutes later, going, oh, he just signed a new deal. It's like, would have been nice for him to mention that. Take Malik Hooker to the poker table for you.
There you go. All right. Yeah. Well, there's a storyline right now. We'll kick off this segment with we turn and look at the practice behind us here. Malik Hooker, 3-year deal, and it really shows a former first-round draft pick, of course, at Indianapolis, and it really shows Nick what he has done in his time here in Dallas, how much respect this whole organization has for him.
Definitely does, and it shows that the playmaker they think he can be. It also shows the commitment that this team's having for the secondary, and when you look at what Dan Quinn did in Seattle, I mean, obviously, the Legion of Boom, that secondary back there, but it started with a pass rush to me. They rotated so many guys there, and that's kind of what he's trying to do here. Now you look at what, they re-signed Diggs. They went and got Gilmore in a trade. They re-signed Hooker. They re-signed Donovan Wilson. So the commitment to the safety and the cornerback position in the secondary is very, very strong.
Dak Prescott said something earlier this week. He says he's having the most fun at training camp that he's had in a long time. And he said a lot of that had to do with the new offense, and a lot of it has to do, he's now 30 years old, and things maybe have slowed down for him as far as, you get more experience and you know what to expect every day at training camp. Isaiah, was training camp ever fun for you?
You know what? Times have changed, Bill. Back when I was at training camp, it was 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. Every day, 2 padded practices a day. The collective bargaining agreement has changed that, but he has every reason to be excited. I mean, you think about the amount of the investment in this offense that this organization has placed around him. He has talent left to right. It doesn't matter where he looks. He has his tight end room. He has talent. Look behind him. He has running backs behind him that can make plays. Look on the outside. They obviously have three-headed monster at the receiver position. So, and they've now instilled an offense that is so simplistic for him to understand, but yet so complex for the defense to dissect. And it's going to be very easy for him to be able to move the chains, and it's going to set him up for success. So he has every reason to be excited.
You're not a little salty about it, are you?
Not at all. Not at all.
Wait a second. What year? You started in 2007, right?
Yes.
You know what was funny about that? Is that, and he's right, times have changed for what you're used to. But in 2007, that was the first Wade Phillips camp coming off Bill Parcells. It was called Camp Cupcake. That's what it was called. And it's just funny how times have changed because it was changing then. It was called Camp Cupcake, and now, I mean, it's way different.
If that was Camp Cupcake, what would today's
Sprinkles.
NFL be? It would just be the sprinkle on top,
rainbow sprinkles
a little bit. Now, that doesn't mean that they're not getting work in. Let's not They're getting work in. It's just they're trying to make it more efficient. They're trying to keep the guys safe.
Hey, the fans can sit here all they want to
Yes,
and say,
they can.
oh, they're not tough, they're not strong, whatever. The last thing you want to see knocked on the biggest oak tree there is any player walking out, with an injury here in training camp or preseason. It's smart to get these guys ready for the games.
We're looking at quarterbacks and receivers right now. And, Nick, what's caught your eye at the receiver position on this team?
Well, the obvious, is 83. I mean, because Jalen Brooks, I don't know if y'all have even mentioned that already. I'm sure you have, but that's the one that stands out because in his first practice he caught like 7 passes. I think that's what he caught his whole senior year. I mean, I don't know what he just wasn't. He wasn't a guy that was featured much, and I wonder why. I mean, South Carolina wasn't like they didn't have a ton of receivers. I'm like, what's going on over there?
Spencer Rattler, the quarterback.
Let's go. I mean, Shane Beamer is the coach. I mean, to me, the comparison I keep hearing is Patrick Creighton.
Yeah.
7th round pick.
I love Patrick
Big,
Creighton.
strong, huge wingspan, big hands, catch it, everything. That's a great comparison for a 7th round pick. So he catches, everything, and he catches our eyes. And then also, the little guy. I mean, like Turpin. I mean, I thought he's done a nice job. He has a knack of catching it right off the ground. Of course, he's already down there, pretty close. So he catches the ball, makes plays, and I like seeing him in the offense as well.
Kyle, let's talk tight ends a little bit. We're looking at tight ends now, and of course, the second-round draft pick, Luke Schoonmaker, has been out with battling plantar fasciitis. Mike McCarthy, after his press conference today, said he had a minor setback yesterday. He's hoping he'll be able to get out there, maybe get activated early this coming week, but we shall see. And what are you seeing at tight end?
Well, I see a young room overall. I mean, you look at the departure of Dalton Schultz has allowed for guys like Jake Ferguson and Peyton Hendershot to have their shot to go out there and be the starter. And Luke Schoonmaker's out here, which is great. He's in pads. He's working on the bands with Brett Brown off to the side. But it still gives opportunities and reps like this to guys like Ferguson, Hendershot. I really like what I've seen from John Stevens so far. You'll see him in the back of the end zone making a nice grab. Overall, it's a young group coached by a coach that has offensive line tendencies in Linda Wells. They are going to know how to block. You just got to find out who can catch the ball. Last year, it looked like it was Peyton Hendershot. Jake Ferguson showed at times that he has an ability to work downfield and to catch the ball as well. But whoever can affect the passing game the most, I think, is going to have a great shot to see the majority of the reps out of that room this year.
And, of course, Dalton Schultz in his 57 catches and 5 touchdowns last year. Now he's a member of the Houston Texans. I really liked Jake Ferguson last year from the get-go, even starting in the preseason and carried forth throughout the season. What are you seeing at tight end there, Isaiah?
I'm seeing a room that's going to be very competitive in this preseason. Like to Kyle's point, there are a lot of guys that are unproven. They have an amazing coach in Linda Wells that's going to get these guys coached up. But more than anything, this system is set up to make the tight end the premier guy. And I know a lot of people aren't really talking about that right now because they're talking about how fast the West Coast offense is. But take it from somebody who played the quarterback position in the West Coast offense. You look for your tight end. You look for him often.
And by the way, Brian Schottenheimer had glowing remarks last week about Sean McEwen. It's these Big Ten tight ends, basically almost all of them outside of Stevens and
Seth Green.
Seth
Green even transferred from Minnesota.
That's right. He started in the Big Ten and wound up in
right?
Houston. Yeah. So Big Ten football, can't go against that, right, Nick? Or maybe you can, SEC man over there.
What does the Big Ten look like?
Well,
I mean,
Isaiah,
up to 30
Isaiah will tell you exactly what the Big Ten looks like.
I was just about to ask what Isaiah feels about the Big Ten.
I was trying to fly under the radar. I knew y'all was going to figure it out.
give us a little bit here, and every tight end is going to be the Big Ten.
Seriously.
No, it's crazy.
Which half of the country are they from?
I'll say this about the position. Obviously there's a standard there with Travis Kelce and Kittle, those two guys are at the top. But, the Super Bowl last year, the couple of touchdowns the Chiefs had to win the game weren't even with Kelce, but it's a product of him. Anytime you can line up your tight end to the outside, and what does it do for the defense? And I've seen Ferguson do that a couple times in the red zone. I think Ferguson's going to be a player that will probably. I feel like he's going to be the starter. I really do. I like him the most because he can line up on the outside, and he can also do his thing inside. As he says, he blocks the big biscuits, as he says. So I think Ferguson is going to be a player that really kind of is dynamic.
Both he and Hendershot have a little pressure on them. They've been the talk. They were the talk last year, the rookie duo at tight end, and they've always kind of been in the spotlight ever since arriving on campus. But Ferguson, in the last 8 games of the season, had just 10 receptions and 106 yards, no touchdowns. That's not the type of tight end one production that you would anticipate. So even he goes into the year saying, I can be better. I talked with him a couple days ago, and he said, I have a chance to be better because, I did some things right, but they were flashes. It's the consistency that he shows. He showed consistency at Wisconsin, too, by the way, because he broke the school record for consecutive games with a reception. He's going to want to look for that sort of production here in his second year.
But whatever he showed, whatever those stats and whatever Hendershot, it was enough for them to tell Dalton Schultz he could leave.
No doubt.
It's enough for them to say, it's all right, this isn't going to work for us. And even when the money was going down for him, he thought he was going to make a lot more. Even when it wasn't, there was no talk about bringing him back. I think that they want to see Ferguson more, Hendershot more, and then they drafted the guy as well, which was after free agency, after Schoonmaker. So there's enough talent there for them to say, let's see more of it. I don't like to call a guy's progress stopper, but that's sort of what Schultz was in their mind because they let him go, and they're thinking that these guys will pick up the slack.
Isaiah, of course, you look at Ferguson and Hendershot going into their second year. Do you believe in the old adage in the NFL, a player makes his biggest jump from his first year to his second year?
I don't abide by that. I'm really a system guy, and I think that this system is really going to allow for these guys to flourish. You talk about their abilities and their skill sets and how this team is going to be able to put them in the best position to be successful. Ferguson can play at the line of scrimmage, and we're going to have a lot of wing sets with Hendershot and anybody else that wants to work their way in there. But these guys are going to have to be able to block. They're going to be able to block in the run game. That's something that's going to be mandated because this offense is built upon that. But again, that quick game and we're being able to get in and out of your routes, i.e. Jason Witten. He wasn't the fastest guy in the world, but he knew how to run a route anywhere from 5 to 12 yards, and that's what this team is going to need going forward.
I'm interested to elaborate on the fact that you don't believe in the year 1 to year 2 jump as much as others, because I agree with you in the fact that it doesn't happen for everybody. It's not straight and narrow in that regard. But I do think it's the best opportunity for them to make that jump because it's the first time they've gone through an entire NFL offseason. First time they've been in the system for quite some time.
Physically, I think it's the biggest jump.
You've got a
1
huge
to 2. Their
chance
body
to jump.
looks different.
Now, you have to take advantage of it.
Yeah.
You can't just sit in the back and eat M&Ms all day. I guess that's not even a sponsor. I probably shouldn't say that. But
you said you can't
eat
do that.
whatever. Yeah, you cannot do that. That's bad. So you take that and you turn around and you go and you take the opposite of it. You're able to put in that work. You're able to put in the time, and then all of a sudden you do make the jump on the field because physically you've had that step up. And I think you've seen that. Take Damone Clark, for example. Damone Clark looks like a completely different player this year. Now, he came in injured. He came in coming off of surgery in March, and he didn't play until the final 8 games of the season. But he looks like a completely different player this time around than he did at this point last year.
Yeah, I think there's definitely some pros to that, and I agree with you in some sense. But the reality is, it's all about the position that you're placed in.
Yeah.
And you can, obviously you have a full offseason. You're more comfortable walking around the facility. You're more comfortable with your coaches and the system, all those type of things. Those things all are great. But if you're not being given the reps, then you're not gaining that wisdom. You're not gaining that confidence to go out there and do your job effectively and better than you did the previous year. Kamante Turpin had an amazing year as a return man. He didn't really get any receiver reps. So now all of a sudden he gets the opportunity to get more reps as a receiver. We're looking to see that jump.
Nick, can we call in on your show?
Definitely.
You welcome calls from us, too?
Let's go.
Okay, all right. Check out Nick Eatman at DallasCowboys.com, and we're back with more from Dallas Cowboys Training Camp 2023 in a moment. Dallas Cowboys football. Tell us how you spice up the game for a chance to be named the 2023 Cowboys Fan of the Year, presented by Captain Morgan, and win exclusive prizes plus a trip to Super Bowl 58. Nominate yourself for another today at DallasCowboys.com/fan of the year. As our coverage of Dallas Cowboys training camp practice continues here on TXA 21, locally in Dallas-Fort Worth, and also on DallasCowboys.com. Bill Jones, Isaiah Standback, Kyle Yeomans, and now look who's joined us. Things are about to get really lively here because the great six-time Pro Bowler Nate Newton is in the house.
Yes, man, I'm glad to be here, man. Hey, this is a team to be revered right here, man. I'm loving this team, man. Okay, y'all looking good.
You've been on some pretty good teams. Is this? Right. Would you say this is the best team
I think
you've ever been on?
Up-and-coming team that can prosper when it comes to my old team.
I had to ask. I'm sorry. That's the right answer.
Yeah.
When I just read Super Bowl 58, I was thinking about it. Super Bowl 27 was your first Super Bowl.
Yes,
so you're in 27, 28,
ago,
and 30.
Yeah. I don't even bring out the rings anymore because I want to get a new one, man. I think that this team is poised, to set themselves up for that. If luck goes their way.
Guess what, Nate? We got O-line versus D-line going on behind us right now.
Is this the inside run or is this one-on-one pass? What is this? What is this?
We'll give you a better idea.
Yeah. I mean, those little things are in the way to call skill position players, though, right? Yeah.
It's not Jimmy's middle drill.
No, it's not.
Nah.
Not the Oklahoma drill.
It's the combined run,
9 on
inside
7.
run, 9 on 7. Yes, it is.
So what are you looking at in a drill like that?
You're looking at the first of all, it's going to be Hankins and Mozzie at your tackles, and that's where you're looking at to see if these guys can eat up bodies. That was our problem last year. Every time we had a big game, an important game, we had a playoff game, our inside was very vulnerable. That's why they went out and spent these assets on Mozzie, and they re-signed Jonathan Hankins so we can take care of that inside. And they've been doing a good job. What we have to work on with the young guy Mozzie is his first step. He's got to get a quicker first step. He's got to start reading the head of the guard a little bit quicker so he can learn to knock guys back, because when you're a step behind or you're 4 inches behind in the NFL, you just can't power over guys. Even the weaker guys get better leverage on you when they can get that head play side.
You always talked about playing in a phone booth, Nate, and I think for the most part, playing in a phone booth still doesn't help you whenever you're facing a guy like Mozzie Smith.
That's
whenever
right.
that strength, it's strength on strength. You can't hide anywhere. It's just mano-y-mano, A versus B, and if that's the case, a lot of times whoever's the stronger man is going to win. And like Bill said earlier, Mozzie Smith might be the strongest man on the field at times.
Yeah, he's a different type guy, man. He's not your usual jelly roll type guy. He's kind of refrigerator built. You know what I'm saying? When I was kind of like a jelly roll, I had 2 or 3 rolls on me, but
not refrigerator Perry.
I was about to say.
Not refrigerator Perry built, though, right?
No, that's
not
a
yet.
whole type of built. You know what I'm saying? And, if Perry was still alive, I would say ugly things about it. But since he passed away, he's a great man.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
What are some of the things that you have to avoid, Nate, as some of these young guys, interior defensive linemen specifically? What does he have to avoid? What mistake is common for rookies in the interior defensive line?
Jumping gaps.
Yeah.
Jumping gaps, taking chances. You can't do that. In college, you was athletic enough and strong enough and quick enough to make up for that. You jump out of the A gap and get back into it by the time the running back get there. In this league here, the guys are too good. You jump out of that A gap, that down lineman to get on you, the offensive lineman to get on you just enough, and we got the running backs that are, break that tackle, that one-arm tackle. As strong as Mozzie is, he cannot still stick one arm out there and think to stop one of these running backs, especially somebody like the New York Giants, the guy that they have.
What about little running backs like Deuce Vaughn? He just made a great catch in front of us.
You can't hit what you can't see, Bill. And we got some wide guys up there with some big, rear ends. So all he got to do is get behind the rear ends and pop out when he can. So he's a good player, man, and we'll see what happens. What I'm liking about is going down here is Coach McCarthy said that these 10 padded practices meant a lot to the young guys. Yeah. And, boy, he is playing a lot of young guys. And it's just great to see. It's been since my years with Jimmy that this is happening.
one young guy down. Now he's going to be helped to his feet. 54, Sam Williams, had a shoulder issue earlier, and he was being tended to by a trainer, athletic trainer, just a moment ago.
That's good to see him back on the field. He looks like he's going to stay out there because they tried to test him out on Tuesday. Monday was when he suffered a bit of an injury. Brought him back out on the field for individual drills Tuesday. He didn't last very long, went back into the locker room, changed into street clothes, and his day was done. So the fact that he's already back on the field has been huge for Sam Williams, because you talk about a second-year jump. That's a guy that you want to take that second-year jump and continue to show improvement on the opposite side of a guy like Micah Parsons.
Absolutely, man. I'm taking a peek. I got my eye on the newly extended young gentleman by the name of Hooker. Oh, they would change the drill.
They changed it on you.
Right in the middle of it.
Tony Pollard, though, he's out here, and he's looking good, isn't he, Isaiah?
He absolutely is. He just had an opportunity to go one-on-one with Mr. DeBrill Cox, and he gave him the ooh-wee, as we like to say. He rounded him up a little bit.
I think you need a little more emphasis on the ooh-wee, by the way.
But those are great reps for Cox, man, especially coming off of the knee, a year ago or so. He needs to be able to go up against some of those quicker backs because that's his advantage, his squeeze, his quickness, and his speed.
I tell you what, man, this guy's had a good camp, man, especially the inside run drills, man. He's been hitting gaps 90 miles an hour. A lot of guys, his tempo is so great, so a lot of the offensive linemen can't catch up with him.
So they continue down at the far end of the field. Of course, you got two practice fields here, and most of the fans in attendance are on the side that we are on, the far end of the field as they continue work. About running back. What are you thinking about Rico Dowdle, who's gotten high praise from the head coach, and Malik Davis, and of course Ronald Jones now suspended the first two games of the regular season?
I think it's wide open, Bill. I really do. I think going into the preseason, you're going to get a great opportunity to watch a battle unfold over a small number of snaps, because out here, it's really tough to get a good look because you're not wrapping guys up. You're not actually going through with a tackle. So running back-wise, you can't really get a true test of how elusive or how impressive these running backs are looking. All you can see is how quickly they hit a hole and before they get touched by a defender where that first contact happens. So I think from a fundamental standpoint, the guys that have been here probably have an early advantage. Malik Davis, Rico Dowdle. And then after that, it's the newcomers. It's the challengers. It's the Rico or Ronald Jones Jr. It's the Deuce Vaughn that are kind of thrown into the mix a little bit. And if that's the case, I think going into the preseason, you're going to see a lot of snaps for these running backs to see exactly who's going to back up Pollard.
3 games, maybe 60 reps a piece.
Yeah.
Split it up between those 3 running backs.
Let them get at it.
Yeah, do not let these guys come to the field and be like, Coach, I played the first half. Well, get ready to play the second, the third, the fourth, and if it's a fifth. Because we want to leave out of camp knowing who's the backup guy.
No doubt.
Not guessing, because if we're guessing, go get a veteran.
Nate, question. Understanding that you're absolutely amazing interior offensive lineman, what do you guys appreciate when these guys are in these positional battles at running back? What do offensive linemen appreciate from running backs?
Guys that stay with the hole, stay with the play. If it's a play right outside the right tackle, and all of us are aiming that way, we don't need you to take 2 steps and cut back. We need for you to press that hole to give us a chance to get our block and to get formed. And if I got almost a quick escape, but I'm kind of halfway on that guy, I need for you to stay that way so I can get an extra push on him. So guys that are disciplined in seeing what they see and the ability to pick up a pass block if I get a quick escape. That's where Darryl Johnson and Emmitt Smith was so great. If Jerome Brown get a quick escape on me, I can at least expect those guys to stand in there and get ran over for Troy.
You got the young cat over there, Bill.
Who is that?
You got Jalen Brooks.
83, Jalen Brooks out of South Carolina.
Good coverage.
That's hold.
Oh, was it? They've got the zebras over there. There was no flag. There was no flag over there.
37,
fellas,
Eric
let me
Scott.
ask y'all about this guy. Last year, it was another guy. It was Dennis Houston.
Uh-huh.
But he had Dak throwing him extra balls. This guy's showing up every day, making 2 or 3 plays, and it don't matter what quarterback.
Nope.
Is this just another camp guy that we just excited about? Is this guy really the real deal?
I think he's the real deal. I mean, not to say that Dennis Houston is not the real deal. I just think that he was he was getting signed off by the wrong gentleman. You know, you would think that, you know, the number one quarterback on the team is the guy that you want to have the best relationship with and the most chemistry. But unfortunately, in the preseason, for guys that are late draft picks or even undrafted guys, you need to be paired up with the second and third string quarterbacks. To your point, Jalen Brooks, it doesn't matter who's throwing him the ball. He's hungry out there. He's running crisp routes, using his big body to go out there and be strong at the point of catch. But also, he's willing to play special teams.
Yes.
That is something that I absolutely love about him, and he's hungry in that regard. So I'm really looking forward to him having a really good preseason.
Well, and the fact that Dennis Houston got playing time so early in the season showed where the Cowboys were at the wide receiver position last year. After letting Amari Cooper go and Michael Gallup coming off his knee surgery, it was depleted. It's totally different this year at wide receiver. And that way, a guy like Jalen Brooks, he, as a seventh-round draft pick rookie, he isn't expected to be more than what he needs to be right off the bat.
And I think Dennis Houston is a good indication of how this wide receiver room this year is different than the wide receiver room last year, because you mentioned it was thin at times. So Dennis Houston found a way to elevate above the rest of the pack. This year, he's kind of 6th or 7th on the list. I mean, he's further down the list, and that's nothing against Dennis Houston. That's just how good Jalen Brooks has been as he falls down to the ground on a rep. He might have had a touchdown grab on that one. But it shows that not only the addition of Brandon Cooks is showing out, but Jalen Tolbert is elevating. Jalen Brooks, of course, has elevated the expectations from his first training camp. So, we got some music.
You know what's coming up now?
Mojo, baby.
We got another Mojo moment.
I hope they come our way.
They are.
Are they?
Yeah, buddy. We're
Let's
lucky
go.
today.
Kyle, explain the Mojo moment.
The Mojo moment was brought to training camp by Mike McCarthy in 2021. He loves the movie Austin Powers. He loves the Mojo, and he wants the Mojo moment. So they put on the music. They get the crowd riled up. It is a surprise moment in practice where they have a drill. The players know what drill they're going into prior to practice, but they have no idea when it happens. Some of the coaches don't even know when it happens. It's really between Mike McCarthy and the ops staff on when they're going to utilize it, and you got to execute. You get one shot at it for the most part, and if you win the drill, it's offense v defense, and whoever comes out on top wins the day, and then they take that back into their meeting rooms, and there's bragging rights on the line.
And the instructions are being announced as we speak. As you got the offensive and defensive units on the field, first team offense, first team defense, and Dak Prescott at quarterback. It's a situation drill here off the hands of Jake Ferguson. Thunder.
That hurts, man. That hurts.
So here comes.
So this is a rushed field goal attempt. That's
right.
what the Mojo moment is.
Brandon Aubrey out of Plano Senior High School in Notre Dame, and he is almost hitting us.
It's not what you want to see, Bill. It's not what you want to see.
So now they'll run it back with Cooper Rush at the quarterback position. Basically, it's one snap for the offense to try and gain some time, gain some space for the kicker, and then the kicker's got to come in and execute.
You would say that was wide left by how much?
I give it about a foot, maybe.
How
maybe
far
a foot.
was it?
I thought it was more like a yard.
I thought I gave it a yard.
It was
Really?
probably a
How
yard.
How far was it?
The operation was good, though. The operation of
Kind of tough to see
And
on how
plenty of
far it
distance,
was.
plenty
I would
of
like to know
distance.
how long it is.
Yeah.
it's hard to tell.
See if you can gauge from our position in the end zone. We're trying to gauge how long this potential kick will be. Cooper Rush at quarterback now. And with the completion, is that Fehoko?
Yep, Simi Fehoko. They're going to clock
And
it
now
right
they're going
now.
to clock it. This late game situation. Cooper clocks it, and now here comes the kicker onto the field goal unit.
Being that the clock is stopped, there's no need to rush.
Yep.
Right, like the last play.
That was a longer field goal, too, so
It was.
Tristan Vizcaino is going to have a chance to make this with less of a rush getting into it, but also a shorter field goal, and it's right down the middle, too.
Well, he went to Washington, Kyle, so the chances are high that he's probably going to
Yeah,
make
Big
this.
Ten great.
See if the Washington Husky jinx is on here. And it's it hit the upright. Oh my, hit the right upright. And there is your Mojo moment for today. Looks like we got more.
Right in the back.
I think they're going to run it back with both teams.
But I think he was distracted from the news from yesterday. That's why I think he missed that.
That's because he's actually a Pac-12 great.
Doggone right.
R.I.P. to the Pac-12.
Wanye Thomas and Malik Hooker. That's the combo and Curse.
We're getting word that if they would have made it, the Mojo moment would have ended.
They're going to keep the Mojo moment going until a kicker makes a field goal.
Oh, see, now here comes the rush, though.
Okay. There's a running play.
Got to check the operation. So now the offensive linemen are running onto the field. They're trying to get set, get the snap off.
High pressure situation for young Brandon Aubrey, 27 years old.
Yes.
This one
short.
is woefully short.
Wow.
5 yards deep in the end zone.
And even with the Mojo moment being, it's manufactured pressure. It's to a certain extent, it's practice pressure. This is real pressure for these kickers. Keep that in mind. I mean, they're trying to make the team. It might not be the real pressure for everybody else around them, but in terms of Brandon Aubrey and Tristan Vizcaino, these are two guys that have a lot on these kicks, a lot riding.
And we should point out the first Mojo moment of this camp in the first padded practice on Monday. It was the kickers, and both kickers not under the kind of game-type pressure as this, were both 3 for 3 on their field goals in that particular Mojo moment on Monday.
Something about this field, fellas. Kickers don't fare well on it.
It's not easy to kick out here, I will say.
Yes, and boy.
Pass to the sideline, and
even look at the flags at the top of the field goal post. I mean, it's a swirling wind right here in these trees. It gets caught in here. I don't want to make excuses by any means. You got to make kicks at some point, no matter what the weather is.
It's not the Meadowlands on the old Meadowlands on a late December day, though.
No, but it's also not kicking at AT&T Stadium either. It's a little bit different.
Wow.
Where are we at right now on the field?
From here, it looks like about the 34-yard line. So this should be about a 46-yard kick, you think?
Somewhere around there.
There's your Washington Husky.
Come on, UW.
Got one fan in the broadcast booth rooting for him. Tristan Vizcaino. It's coming right towards us. Look out. Isaiah, catch it.
Oh, he hit Bill. Come on, Bill.
I was trusting
trying
Isaiah.
to get it to you.
Oh, I sprained my hand trying to catch that one.
Workers' comp.
It's on film. It's on film.
Isaiah, boy, you are very disappointing.
Man, I'm not liking that. I'm not liking it. This is not giving me a bolt of confidence right now. This is back-to-back.
Nor should it.
But seriously, back-to-back years now, we've had kicker competitions at camp.
That's right.
And there was no one man that we knew for sure that we could rest our head on that was going to be the man going into the season. And yet here we are again, back-to-back consecutive years. What we got going on?
Clarence Hill of the Star-Telegram is over here. I yelled at him, Clarence, you're supposed to protect me.
Oh, Dak.
And there's a penalty marker down on the incomplete pass over the middle. C.D. Lamb.
C.D. hit his right hand on the helmet of Malik Hooker there, I think. Came up a little shaken up, but he's back in the fold.
Okay.
Well, that right there wasn't a safe pass.
No, it wasn't.
No.
I'm glad this was practice.
That's the type of risk that Dak's going to take in practice.
Yes.
He's trying to help out his field goal kicker at that point.
Trying to make this Mojo be a moment.
Okay,
It's quite a moment, all right.
Yeah.
Come on, Brandon, put it through.
One more chance for Aubrey here. Ball set right in the middle of the field.
Hey.
And it does have the distance, and it is good.
Thank you.
Brandon Aubrey, the former first-round draft pick of FC Toronto, Major League Soccer, who played the last 2 years in the USFL, the champion team in the USFL at that. Birmingham played for Skip Holtz there. So Vizcaino will have another opportunity here after this will conclude. At least we've got one.
Got one down. It took a 15-yard penalty to get there.
So now Cooper Rush at quarterback.
Deuce Vaughn at running back.
You can see that.
Yeah, I was able to see through some people.
Gained some yardage there, got in position.
Nice catch by David Durden.
David Durden out of West Florida on the receiving end.
Florida boy, that makes a difference. Yeah. Washington folks, I don't know.
Snap is back, hold us down, and here it comes
to
at
you
us
again.
again one more time.
I don't want
Right
you- I
at
don't
us and
want that.
over my head.
I don't want that.
So that will conclude the Mojo moment. Nate's going to stay with us the rest of the way here.
Wow.
And we'll continue with more Dallas Cowboys training camp practice in just a moment.
So what is this?
At AT&T Stadium on October 7th and 8th for world-class barbecue from pitmasters across the country while enjoying live entertainment and libations at QBBQ Fest Dallas. This October, the only thing hotter than the Cowboys will be 30,000 pounds of brisket, chicken, pulled pork, and ribs smoking at Miller Lighthouse when some of the biggest names in BBQ come together at QBBQ Fest. Tickets on sale now at SeatGeek.com, the official ticketing provider of AT&T Stadium. Bill Jones, Isaiah Stanback, Kyle Yeomans, and Nate Newton here. Nate, how much training camp does Zach Martin need?
About a week before the first game.
So like back at the Star in
once
Frisco.
they get back in the Star, and that week start, he needs to be in camp. He needs to be ready to prepare for that game for New York. That's all he needs. He's a veteran enough, and he knows how to get himself in shape. He don't need as much banging. They may do one day of banging in practice, and he should be ready to go.
All right, we got 7-on-7 going on behind us here, and opportunity to check out first-team offensive players against first-team defensive. Well, it's a mix of players on both sides. Tack quarterback here.
Oof, nice route. That's going to be pass interference right there. Oh, no flag?
You sure?
That's called face guarding. You can't not turn around.
As long as he doesn't make contact, he can't.
He slapped him.
That's a vet move from J-Ron Curse is all I see.
CeeDee Lamb ran a heck of a route on the opposing side of the field against Trayvon Diggs. Obviously, the ball didn't go his way, but he was open.
And we got Cooper Rush at quarterback.
Leave it to a quarterback to call it out.
He is an offensive guy, isn't he?
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Okay.
Back to the end zone.
Go get it.
Nice catch.
John Stevens.
6'6" frame out there, going up there and grabbing that thing. That's your boy, Kyle.
Coming into camp, I tabbed him as one of the under-the-radar guys in this rookie class as somebody to look out for. And I've been told by a couple guys in the room that they really like what John Stevens brings. They call him stretch. He had to stretch out for that one. He had to make a grab, and that was a nice contested touchdown catch.
6'6", 245 pounds. Started his college career at TCU.
Good ball.
Good ball.
Nice.
Ontario Drummond with the catch and over in the corner.
Ontario Drummond.
Cooper Rush put that one in a bucket.
We call that a dime.
Drummond out of Ole Miss.
There's a couple Coop chants. It's not the same Coop as you've heard in the past, but they like Cooper Rush.
We've heard a lot of Deuce chants as well here.
He's
and
in
Deuce
there.
is in there alongside Coop right now. Number 42 is Deuce Vaughn. Back of the end zone. Durden can't hold on.
Speaking of Deuce Vaughn, man, he got a lot of K-State fans out here, man. I do the stage thing before practice, and I see a lot of them K-State guys walking around in gals, man. So he's got a little following. I hope he can cash in on it.
That's not an easy trip from Manhattan either.
Yes.
Out here to Oxnard.
Yeah. Right.
So this is what I've been curious about, Bill. How they're going to use Brandon Cooks down here in the red zone.
CD. Post up on Malik Hooker right at the goal line.
See, on that particular play, he was a decoy. He was a decoy to pull the defense away from CeeDee Lamb, so you have a one-on-one matchup. That was nice.
On that one specifically, he's trying to pull Hooker to the middle of the field to give extra space for Lamb underneath on the curl, right?
Correct.
Well, I like that. My boy just brought that. Hey, Kyle, that was sweet.
I've been around here a little bit. I've learned.
That's
I watch
sweet.
film, Nate.
I know you do, brother. And I'm praising you for it.
Back of the end zone.
Back in the earlier years, that would have been a no-no. Quarterbacks do that a lot these days. Back in the day, is you with me, Isaiah?
I am 100% with you.
That was a no-no pass.
You can get away with some of that when you're starting quarterback.
Yeah.
What is he trying to get away with there?
Now throwing back across the body.
Yeah, but
Never
at least
throw
that
late.
one was high where the only guy who could catch it would have been Fehoko.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're going to make that that pull the trigger there, take that chance, you got to throw it high.
No, too late.
Back of the end zone again. You know that was an uncatchable ball if Trayvon Diggs did not catch it.
No. No way.
On the back of the line of the end zone.
You know, I like when I see a veteran guy like Diggs, just got his bag filled. But guess what? He's out here practicing, doing what he have to do. He's very vocal about that.
Well, last Saturday we talked. Mike, of course, he had he's dealing with a little toe thing at the beginning of training camp, and McCarthy said first of the week. And last Saturday, Jerry said as long as he's back, once we get back to Dallas.
Right.
Well, he was out practice basically first of the week.
Yeah. Oh man, I just like that. That shows guys, your star players doing what they have to do, going through a little bit of injury, and that makes the young guys have a new look at this Cowboys team and how they should act.
I like the angle that Hunter Lipke took on that last touchdown, got to the edge. They've utilized him as a pass catcher out of the backfield quite a bit. Here in these red zone situations, he's going to get some targets.
And there's Drummond again. Will Greer with the pass, a flag down at the goal line.
Defensive holding. The play stands, Bill. The play stands. Touchdown for the good guys. But what we're seeing down here in the red zone is seeing a lot of pick routes. Okay, and pick routes are always very tricky. There's this particular way in which you have to run them so that you don't get a flag called on an offensive side of things. So this is really good practice rest for these guys going into the preseason game.
By the way, how good was the Cowboys' offense in the red zone last year? They were tops in the league on offense.
Sack.
Good defense, good coverage.
When you see it, go more than 2.8 on this down here in this red zone, this is some bad things happening.
And if Mike is rushing, it's 1.8.
Yeah,
if that.
0.8.
If that. So the ball's down here on the 6-yard line. There's not a lot of room.
No.
So you really have 16 yards of length to work with.
Dak flush to his right. Devontae Turpin, the intended target.
And this is the thing about it, even with no pass rush, you see when guys have that ball more than 2.8 seconds, it's usually an incompletion.
Yep.
Even out here with no pass rush, because the pressure in these quarterbacks' mind, they know they have to get rid of this ball.
Everything has to happen faster down here.
Yes.
Overshone is in there, by the way, number 35, with a lot of first-teamers. Kelvin Joseph, number 1, covering the slot.
Yep.
And there's Sean McEwen.
It's another pick route right there. Really good job by Jalen Tolbert, taking away that outside linebacker so that Sean McEwen can get over there to the flat.
Just a reminder, pick routes are not allowed in the NFL, Isaiah,
it's
but rub routes.
It's a concept.
We got to call them rub routes. We can't tip our hand here at training camp. You got to find a way to get around it a little bit.
Everybody does it, Kyle. Everybody does it.
Let's just keep it a secret.
Ooh. Another face guard.
Is that another face?
They're not calling it, though. I'm not sure what rule has changed.
Was the hands on the guy, Isaiah? Was hands on the receiver?
I don't think that one was as egregious as the first one.
It wasn't. That was actually
a pretty good play from Deron Bland.
I just wanted to see a touchdown.
What a rookie season Deron Bland had. 5 picks last year. Of course, Jordan Lewis is not active during training camp, coming off his Liz Frank injury from last year. He is out here, but he's not active with the rest of the team.
Isaiah, how hard is that to come back from that type injury?
I received a little bit more insight on that injury. It's tough, but the good thing is that he has one heck of a training staff to get him back healthy. They're very familiar with his injury. They know exactly what the game plan is, how to execute it, and more importantly, he has the go-getter mindset that they actually have to pull back the reins a little bit to try to prevent him from going out there and doing anything that's detrimental to him. So I look forward to when he does get back on the field, but he has the best staff possible for what he's dealing with.
How about this secondary, though? Wow.
It's a nice problem to have now, Bill. You didn't have this problem a couple years ago. You weren't talking about all these different defensive backs, second-year guys that have proven themselves. You talk about the Blands. You talk about the Nashawn Wrights that are getting opportunities. Israel Mukuamu's working his way back out here in the field. There's a lot of young guys that have shown some flashes that are going to have a lot of opportunities to go out here and try to fight for a starting role.
You got to give a lot of credit to the front office and the way they've built the secondary because they've done it in different ways. They've done it in ways like adding Jaron Kearse from an opposite team. Malik Hooker, who was a former first-round pick, bringing him off of the streets after an injured year. He comes in, and now he's got a 3-year extension to continue playing for this team. But then they have the draft process. They have the Deron Bland in the 5th round. Nashawn Wright, nobody had him as a top 100 pick. He's still on the team for a good reason, and he's showing out as well. So they've done it in different ways, but the way that they've invested in the secondary, it's starting to show, and it's something that I think is undersung whenever it comes to the way that this front office is built.
And to have Al Harris as their defensive back
it's
coach,
big too.
Joe Witt
Jr. Disciplinary guy who helps them get in the right position to make plays. And that's what he tells them. He said, I'm going to line you up in the right position, and I'm going to give you the tendencies. It's up to you to make the play. And he expects for them to make the play.
You hinted towards it a little bit, Kyle, but this front office has done a great job of literally securing this entire secondary for years to come.
I will say, first rep of team drills, and Chuma Edoga laid a punch on Micah Parsons coming off the edge. Micah's gotten the best of Chuma Edoga at left tackle quite a bit throughout training camp so far, but the first rep on this one, Edoga came out there and he laid a punch, and he kind of jarred Micah Parsons there for a split second.
This is a 2-minute drill here.
This is a tough 2-minute drill, Bill. One timeout. You start from the opposite 35, and you need a touchdown. This is high-pressure 2-minute drill at the end of the game.
Or at the end of a half. Remember, I recall Dak Prescott, his rookie season against Mike McCarthy's Green Bay Packers, one of the most memorable moments of that season. They go up to Green Bay, and right before the half, I want to say it was a 95-yard drive. And it really showed that what Dak could do as a quarterback. It was in a late half situation. I'm sure Mike McCarthy remembers that too.
Oh, I'm sure.
Michael Gallup just took a wallop.
That was a high hit from Leighton Vander Esch. Definitely not on purpose.
Yeah.
Using Tony Pollard out of the backfield a little bit.
I love what I'm seeing from this offense, though, and whether it's 2-minute drill or whether any other set. These guys are learning the importance and the value of just moving the chains. They're taking Dak's taking the easy pass. Or you talk about how great of a camp he's having. Well, it's because he's not having to make these amazing throws. These passes are easy. They're 5 yards or 10 yards down the way. Get the ball in his hands of his guys and just simply move the chains. And that's what Mike McCarthy wants to do with this team. And obviously, I know Big Nate, the big nasties up front are going to love being able to run the ball as well.
I'm definitely getting that ball out of your hands real quick with a quick pass rush.
Pressure.
Dak over the middle.
There you go, Hendershot.
Isaiah, you pointed this out to me yesterday, but Peyton Hendershot in these red zone and 2-minute drill offenses they are getting a lot of reps with Hendershot in there with the ones.
Number 89, Peyton Hendershot.
Oh, he was open.
Ooh, little pressure.
Flushed out.
Ontario.
Downfield.
That was a possible sack by Armstrong.
Ontario Drummond again.
But to your point, Kyle, Hendershot possesses one attribute that the rest of the tight end group doesn't, and that's the quickness. His suddenness to be able to get in and out of breaks is going to allow for him to be the best suited for these situations.
To the sideline.
This is another thing you talked about, Isaiah, too, is using every inch of the field width-wise, using the sideline-to-sideline approach, and that's what this offense has done well now that they have these West Coast systems in place.
Yeah, they're mixing and matching in terms of their splits. I mean, sometimes they'll come out in a super condensed set. Sometimes they'll come out and they'll be spread out from sideline to sideline. You just never know what you're going to get, and you have to mark every single guy because every man is capable.
By the way, up front on that offensive line, they do have, as Kyle has pointed out, Chuma Edoga at left tackle. Tyler Smith, the first-round pick last year, is at left guard. Tyler Biotish at center. And, of course, made the Pro Bowl last year. Josh Ball at right guard and Terrence Steele at right tackle. And C.D. Lamb on the receiving end.
What'd you see there, Nate?
Just great protection. I see how Tyler Smith came out to help the doggo when my man took an inside rush. That was great protection and great help.
Got a timeout now.
These drills have to be tough on offensive linemen, too, working down the field, but it's good in camp to get that conditioning down,
it is.
right?
I mean, it is.
You can see hands on hips a little bit, but you get a little timeout, you get a little breather here. But you're going to have to do this in the game. If you're driving down the field and you don't have a whole lot of time, you don't have time to take a deep breath. You got to keep on rolling.
And you don't really get tired because the guy in front of you just so much of your attention to. You don't worry about whether you're tired or not. You just rely on your instincts,
Nate,
your technique.
Over on the right side, you got Ball and Let's-Go.
Yes. Good protection.
Nice ball.
CD working on Kelvin Joseph.
CD didn't drop the mic, did he?
He dropped the toe.
Yeah.
Toe drag swag right there.
Yeah.
He went over that was a fingertip toe drag swag.
Yeah.
I mean, he had both ends there working in succession. Well done from C.D. Lamb. Not bad coverage from Kelvin Joseph, but it was a better throw and a better catch.
That's it.
There's a Pro Bowler for you, C.D. Lamb.
Wow, Bill, where did you go to school at?
You know what? There's a reason. There's a big reason that Baker Mayfield guy and that Kyler Murray guy won Heisman trophies and that Jalen Hurts guy was a second in the Heisman.
Right.
They got to throw to number 88 right there.
This isn't fair, you guys. You've got Oklahoma. Isaiah's got Washington. Nate's got Florida A&M, all represented on the field. I don't have anybody from North Texas this year. Normally I do, but not this year.
I think Mean Green is visiting.
Oh, good. I hope he's out here.
Yeah, later in the year.
Yeah, you got one in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, we've got a
Joe
couple.
Green.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good one.
This is when you start getting a real indication of how these quarterbacks feel about the receivers. So as you look on the outside, nice ball. When you look on the outside, you see big 83 out there. Jalen Brooks, that was the first guy that Cooper Rush went to on the first play of this 2-minute series. That lets you know right off the back that I trust you. Right? I trust the ball in your hand in the most intense situation that we can face in practice.
Cooper throws it away.
That was Chauncey Golston. Golston got in there, went up against the left guard. I couldn't see who was at left guard. I believe it's T.J. Bass. It is Bass. And he got around to the right side of him, put one hand right on his chest plate and pushed him off to the right. Cooper Rush had no time to throw that ball.
That's called a long arm rush. When you turn your body sideways and put that arm in and extend it.
Golston's been one of those guys that's still growing into the interior. I mean, he played edge at Iowa. He only played defensive tackle in high school, put on 20 pounds last offseason, and he comes in. This is his second year as a defensive tackle. So last year it was about adding weight, adding mass. This year it's about the fundamentals and putting it all together.
A little pressure on the quarterback there. He had to get it out, threw it high.
But where did he go with it, Nate?
Yeah.
Jalen Brooks.
Yes.
Jalen Brooks.
Okay, we got a TV timeout, and that's a TV timeout for us as well. And we've got continue with more Dallas Cowboys training camp practice in just a moment.
I'm all right now.
The official on-field hats for the 2023 Cowboys season are waiting for you. Head to a pro shop near you or log on to shop.dallascowboys.com. A Fanatics experience and score new era sideline hats today. A lot of those hats on, the crowd. Big crowd here on a Saturday watching the first and only full padded practice on a Saturday for these fans here in Southern California to watch the Cowboys. Bill Jones, Isaiah Stanback, Kyle Yeomans, and Nate Newton here. And, Nate, I want to ask you about, of course, Nate was a terrific offensive lineman in his career. He knows offensive guard play. How impressed have you been with Tyler Smith in his first year in this league, especially when you go back to last year? He's training as an offensive guard throughout the offseason and training camp, and then Tyron gets hurt 10 days before the first game, and Tyler's got to play left tackle and start 16 games.
I'm impressed with him because of the mental part of it. It is two different positions. Playing out there with them ballerinas, man, at that left tackle, man, and then coming in playing with them wild hogs inside. That shows great mental capabilities, but now he can change gears and he can get physical. So I like what he's doing, and he's giving Mozzie a work over every day. That's great competition for him. So he's getting an A+ for me.
It's funny, Nate. You know, he loves to watch practice from the end zone because you can see the line play,
yes,
right, Nate?
Yes, and understand what is going on.
I remember watching Nate when his son Trey played running back in high school.
Yes.
Nate would always – now, I think maybe part of it was he didn't want to hear the fans, the moms in the stands, but he always would sit in the end zone because he wanted to see that offensive line play.
Oh, see what they was doing, man. Take care of my baby, man. I don't want to kill my baby. Yeah. But, hey, the Carroll Dragons – protect the tradition, baby. Protect the tradition. Yeah.
Well, Trey did a great job of that
yes.
at the University of Texas as well.
Man, one thing I will say, the first rep of this drill, it was the complete opposite of what Chuma Edoga did to Micah Parsons on the first rep of the previous drill. Micah was in the backfield, and Edoga barely got a hand on him. And so Dan Quinn said, all right, let's give Chuma Edoga a break, and they put Micah Parsons back in coverage instead on the second play. Changed it up.
I'm going to tell you something. You cannot ask a great player not to practice, not to be himself, because he's setting the tempo for the rest of the defense. So you just do your best, trust in your technique, and fight, fight, fight.
Nice.
Lots of room.
Big John Stevens. They go to that stride length right there, Kyle.
Stretch. I'm telling you, he might be the surprise of the preseason. I really like what we've seen. It feels like every day he's making plays. I think he still has a little ways to go as a blocker. There are times where you see him either miss an assignment or he's in the wrong spot. But he is a rookie. He's an undrafted free agent. Room to grow, but as a pass catcher, I think he's as refined as anybody in that tight end room.
Began his college career at TCU as a wide receiver, then transferred to Louisiana Lafayette, son of former NFL running back John Stevens. Played for the New England Patriots for many years.
You know, I heard earlier you guys talking about the difference in what's going to be to make the tight ends difference. I beg to differ. You need two blocking tight ends, and they got to be a little bit better than just grabbers. Ferguson can block. Now, is Hendershot, any of the other guys, McKeon, is these guys going to step up to the plate and be better blockers? Because if Mike McCarthy wants to run this offense that he's talking about, this West Coast offense, we're going to need to be able to run that ball still.
That's where McEwen and Hendershot struggled last year, was in the blocking game. Ferguson, at least out of the group that's still here, he was probably the best. That's where Schoonmaker, I think, will come in and immediately be an upgrade.
Yes.
He was a really good blocking tight end at Michigan. I think you gave him a plus grade in that regard. He was a well-rounded tight end, so he could still grow in that area. But I think even after missing this time, he's got to come in and be physical. That's what they want Schoonmaker to do. And then that allows all the other guys to play free.
You know, y'all don't remember his name. Mark Bavaro played for the New York Giants.
What do you mean we don't remember?
I'm talking about the young guy.
Bill remembers everybody's name.
But I know you do, Bill. But that's how Schoonmaker, he's big like that. So I'm hoping he does turn out real well, Kyle.
How much did having a big blocking tight end to the right or the left of you help out as an offensive lineman? I mean, how welcome is that?
Man, it improves you 50% run game, because now the coach is going to give you – they're going to be able to run the ball, and they're not going to think twice about it. And when it comes down to the end of the game and we need to salt this thing away, if you got a blocking tight end, you can finish the games 50% better, I say.
And, Nate, you're familiar with this offensive line coach, correct?
Yes. Mike Solari is a great man. Been around for maybe 800 years.
So Solari's been around so long. He was a Dallas Cowboys assistant coach for Tom Landry when Nate Newton got to the Cowboys.
That's right. That's right.
So what's the culture that he's going to be implementing on the offensive front there, Nate?
High energy, physical, fight. Get your technique, work on your technique. But when the game starts, it's going to be a dogfight. You should know that, because he's been with the Seahawks twice. I mean, so you should know that, physical part of the game, since you're a sellout to the Seahawks.
By the way, the Cowboys will be going to Seattle for the second preseason game against the Seahawks. We, by the way, are 1 week away from the first preseason game against the Jacksonville Jaguars, a 4 o'clock kickoff next Saturday at AT&T Stadium. A strange 4 o'clock kickoff, but the reason for the 4 o'clock kickoff is so this team can get back out here at a relatively decent hour to resume training camp the following
And I'll be out here waiting.
Yeah, you'll be back here watching?
Yeah, I'll be on the beach like it's a whale out on the – never mind.
Jalen Tolbert.
How about him going into his second year?
Now, that's the guy who's made that second-year jump, Kyle. I know you were bringing that up earlier in conversation. Jalen Tolbert's had not only the opportunity to learn from his mistakes last year, but he building that confidence with Dak. He needs to be able to get in there in this most recent offseason, get those reps, build the confidence with them, the chemistry. Now he's a trusted resource. Now he's in a new system that's going to work for him. He can come out here and he can play fast and furious.
I've been so impressed with his ability. Oh, Dak got him to jump that time. That's a free play. He's going to throw it up. Nobody there. But the ability of Jalen Tolbert to do the self-reflection and say, okay, I didn't do my job as a rookie, And to have that put the pride aside and say, I could be better at connecting with Dak. I could be better at learning the playbook. I could be better at practicing and being a pro. And then also to have the wherewithal to latch on to a veteran like Brandon Cooks that they brought in this offseason. It's showing. It's showing in Oxnard, and I think he's still going to elevate his game. He's not to where he probably needs to be yet, but if he wants to be living up to that 88th overall pick and a third-round selection, he's going to have to continue to do it when the lights turn on in the preseason and in the regular season.
There's your man, Hendershot.
Yeah, I love to see it. I love to see it. Man, that dude can be such a huge asset for this offense if he can get his confidence and become a trusted resource for these guys in this particular system. His ability to catch the ball and make something happen with it after breaking one tackle is going to be huge for these guys. You pair him up, you got B. Cooks, you got Gallup, you got CD. All those guys possess the ability to make one guy miss and do something else with it. He possesses that same attribute.
Team speed. Lots of it.
There goes Deuce. Couldn't see him, Bill.
Yeah, I know. I can't find the runabout. Oh, there he is. It's Deuce Vaughn.
I can't wait for the regular preseason games to see exactly how many of these tackles he's actually breaking. Right? I think Kyle might have alluded to that earlier. You know, people are like, oh, well, he would have got tackled on this one.
You look at his legs.
Yeah, look at his legs. That dude is
legs.
5'5", 185 pounds. He is a moving fire hydrant. The guy that I think that he resembles is Darren Sproles. You know, Darren Sproles was a little stocky guy like that, too. I think Sproles was 5'6", 190. They're compact presarios, man. Those guys can be able to hide behind people and dip and dodge and then burst out, and then all of a sudden it's too late. You heard Nate say you can't hit what you can't see?
That's right.
That's what it's going to be. Ooh. Nah, I don't like that. I don't like that, Tyler.
Tyler Coyle uncoils.
Yeah, that's unnecessary.
There's going to be some words there.
Yeah, that's unnecessary. I'm not going to say on the air what we normally would say on the field because we already seen what happens when the camera sees that.
Are we about to have a viral video go out
happen,
maybe.
No, I don't like that, Nate. That was a cheap shot.
Look at Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn's in there right now. He's telling him. He's saying, okay, like, probably a good play from a football standpoint, but not as a teammate.
Yeah, not as a teammate.
That's different.
You can run by his ear and tell him, oh, got you. You know, you could tap him up on his butt. Oh, you would have been done.
Yep.
But don't take that shot on him.
I think there's an element to that's desperation for Tyler Coyle. We talked about how deep the safety room is and how good they are. He's trying to stick around. He's trying to remain a part of this team. That's not a great way to do it, but he's just trying to play, and sometimes the football instincts probably get the best of him.
Mistakes happen.
4 o'clock next Saturday.
Yeah, that's when it shows out.
You're right, Nate. You're right. I just don't like it.
Mistakes happen. Come on, fellas.
I want to see that same energy next Saturday at 4 o'clock.
We'll be sitting at
That's
the
what I want to
table.
see.
We'll be sitting at the table. And Isaiah's like, by the time someone hit someone.
Yep.
You didn't say it on the air.
In the game. That's right.
Yeah, that'll be the dinner conversation tonight.
Yeah.
Now, earlier in practice, you saw the defensive backs, they were doing a punch drill. The defensive backs and the linebackers, they were working on putting a glove on and punching the ball out after somebody receives it. You saw Nashawn Wright right there just do a heck of a job punching the ball out.
Hunter Lipke.
Hunter Lipke, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why the Cowboys have led the league in takeaways the last 2 years. Last team to lead the team in takeaways 3 years in a row, the Steel Curtain Pittsburgh Steelers, 1972, 73, 74, led by Mean Joe Green out of what was then North Texas State University.
Ooh, good
Malik
cut.
Jefferson. I'm gonna have my eye on him too, Kyle. Malik Jefferson. I like him at the linebacker position. He's physical. He's stout. And he has some burst to him, and I think he's going to bring that physicality to that second level of the defense as well.
I'll tell you what, I mean, for people who follow high school sports in North Texas, Malik Jefferson was it coming out of Mesquite Poteet High School. He was a 5-star recruit, University of Texas, and you know he's basically been a special teamer in the NFL.
Yeah.
Bounced around a little bit.
Well, he's built for it tough, I can tell you that.
He's only 26 years old.
Yeah, he's still young.
He has room to grow.
Nice cut.
Rico Dowdle.
We saw enough of that last year. So he should be the leading candidate. He should be starting next week, coming out. And that's whether Jones or anybody else, Davis, anybody, he should be your starting back.
And here's the difference also on Rico Dowdle. They list him at 218 pounds.
Right.
I mean, if you're looking for someone who can be, Zeke did score 12 touchdowns last year, And at 225 pounds or whatever, if you're looking for a bigger back, he is a bigger back on this. He's not big, but he's bigger than what Malik Davis is, if you're looking, or Deuce Vaughn for that matter.
And we've never really had a chance to see Rico Dowdle do Rico Dowdle things. Good play by Blanche.
Too much air, Isaiah.
So there's a lot of over routes that are going to be ran in this offense, right? So what you saw there is you saw them trying to take advantage of Kevontae Turpin's speed to be able to cut across the field, get behind the secondary. What Dak has to be aware of, and Cooper Rush and Will Greer, in this especially the preseason going into the regular season, is his backside cornerbacks. A lot of times they'll start drifting off if they don't have any responsibilities. They're going to sit back there and try to play cherry pick.
That's what Bland did there, right?
Yep.
Just getting that depth and getting off.
Yeah, he didn't have any responsibility, so he just sagged and just tried to take the over route. Can't stop your route.
Yeah, that was a miscommunication. Fehoko let up and Diggs kept going. That's the veteran. And at some point, there's a conversation that's going to be had here between Dak and Fehoko, but you got to keep going, right?
Right now, you never stop on a quarterback, ever. Even if you feel like your route is covered, you still have to be dependable and be there and be that trusted resource to be where you're supposed to be.
And especially with Trayvon Diggs covering you, because Diggs is going to continue to run the route.
Diggs is trying to play receiver. He's trying to get out there and make a play.
All right, we switch to a different drill here.
Where are we going, Kyle?
This is going to be red zone lockout is what they call it. They started at the 25-yard line, and you rotate ones and twos, and this is a pure competition. I mean, we talked about the competition of a Mojo moment. The first unit to win and have 18 points or more at the 20-minute mark of this drill. They're going to put the clock at 20 minutes. The first unit to get to 18 or to get to that 20-minute point wins the drill. And that's not even just ones versus twos. That's offense versus defense, and then twos offense versus twos defense. So
I didn't hear
lots of competition on a graphic on the screen so everyone can understand.
I know. We should have sent this to somebody.
Will you keep track of the scoring for us here?
Yes, I will.
Get your pad out.
There it goes right there.
You keep track of it. Because this is going to take us all the way to the end of this practice.
I believe so.
Nice cut, TP. Ooh, he's looking TP-ish. Nice cuts, man. He took that thing all the way from the front side to the back side. Nashawn Wright came to the edge, tried to have outside containment. TP said, hold your beer. I'll be right there, and cut it back up inside.
I love the addition of really these blocking tight ends on the edge, mostly for Tony Pollard. I think it's going to really help him out and establish those cutback lanes. You can double team some of these big edge rushers in the NFC East and have some fun with it.
Wow.
Working on Nashawn Wright. We aren't seeing Stephon Gilmore out here with the first-team defense.
Referee says that was a contested catch. Would have changed.
That's a tight window to fit that ball in by Dak Prescott, and he put it on the money. Tolbert did what he needed to do to go up against Nashawn Wright, because Dak put it there, but at some point your wide receiver's got to help out your quarterback, and Tolbert did there.
That's another one of those plays, Kyle, where you get a real sense of how your quarterback feels about your receiver. He was not open, and he still threw the ball to him because he trusts the fact he was going to come down with it.
Wanye Thomas was in there on that play, and now Kelvin Joseph is in the slot cornerback. Incomplete at the goal line.
He tried it again. He tried to go right back to Tolbert on the goal line, and he wasn't open. Good coverage by Leighton Vander Esch, just working over that direction. He had J-Ron Curse over the top, too.
Good protection in the middle of the offensive line there.
Give up the middle. Damone Clark filling the hole.
Little up-tempo here, Isaiah. They're trying to work through this, and it quickly turned into 3rd and goal. They were moving the ball.
Yeah, it gets harder.
It just came up against the wall here.
There's less space, man, and everything starts getting condensed. And now you got 15 yards of space. You got 5 yards to the goal line. You got another 10, and it's rough.
And you got 600 pounds sitting up in the middle with Hanks and and Osa. Yeah, it's hard to get up in there.
Back of the end zone.
Oh. What you think, Isaiah? No hands?
No, that's just there was nothing there.
So now they're going to kick a field goal. Field goals in this drill for the offense count for 3, just like any other normal field goal. But if you stop a field goal, the defense gets 4 points. So less points on the table here. If it's a miss, it's 4 points for the defense. If it's a make, then it's 3 points for the offense. I'm your scoring system today, boys.
You're doing a great job.
Got you down.
Modified McCarthy's scoring system.
Hey, we made one.
And
Coming back down. Oh, I tried to save you.
I didn't see it. I'm looking over here. Like,
Did it get you, Bill?
Did not give me.
Okay.
Did not
Went right
give
in
me
front of
because
Isaiah.
protected.
Come on,
Almost
Mike.
gave Isaiah a concussion.
I played here for years. I didn't get that many balls.
Mike McCord, the equipment manager, going by, and I got my own personal protector here in Isaiah Standback.
He didn't do his job that
The
time.
field
Not
goals
on
just
that
keep
rep.
finding us.
Yeah. So the score, Kyle, is 3-0 offense. Is
3-0
that right?
offense. That's where we're at.
Now, what I'm reading on this is for the defense. The defense gets 7 points on a 4-down stop, a missed field goal, and or a turnover. They'll get 7.
Turnover, and 4-down stop.
Says
Okay,
a field goal 4, so the defense actually got
gets
4
4 points there. You're
the
right.
defense leads 4-3 right now.
That's a good point.
All right,
because
so
then
there you go.
they get some points to stop.
No,
Catch
missed
there,
field
Bill.
goal. Missed field
No,
goal.
missed
No,
field
that's
goal
if they
gets
get
7
7.
points for the defense. And
So
field
basically
goal,
they took-
field goal is 4.
You
I
take
can't
4
keep up.
points off the board, so it's 4-3 defense.
4-3.
There's
defense
7
leads
points
right
on the
now.
board for
Gotcha.
every
Good.
possession.
This is fun. Maybe we should do preseason games with this kind of
maybe.
scoring.
I like it.
Yeah.
Sounds like something another
15
league would do.
minutes, 56, 54. It's counting down. It is counting down.
Something to pay attention to now that you got the twos up on defense and you got Deron Bland and Eric Scott out there. So you can see some of the confidence that these coaches have in the young Eric Scott out here as well.
Number 37 is Eric Scott. Deron Bland, of course, 26.
Overshown in the middle.
Number 35. Deep.
Ball.
Falco. Incomplete. Isaiah didn't like that.
I didn't like it. I would like to see the ball outside a little bit more. Semi Fehoko was trying his best to get to the ball, but it was just a little bit inside.
Did he get a good release? Did Bland get
Bland got his
on
hands on him. He
Yeah.
hunted him a little bit at the line of scrimmage. You would like to see Fehoko win that battle of physicality, especially with his size.
This is a big year for Fehoko.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Big training
preseason.
camp for him. He needs to show something. Over the middle. And hit hard over the middle.
Yeah, there goes that man. We just finished
That's
talking
John
about Malik
Stevens.
Jefferson.
The Malik Jefferson. Malik Jefferson can deliver a blow.
Goodness. I felt that one.
Yeah, that was a jar. It was touching him up, but
Got to catch that, D. Houston.
good job by Eric Scott with active hands, though.
Yeah.
I mean, Scott got in there and was able to get a fingertip on it, and that was enough to jar it free. But if it hits Houston in the chest, you got to hold on.
Well, you see the disappointment on his face. He just went ahead and gave himself a little fist bump. He's a little frustrated because the ball found his abs, and you got to reel it in.
So that was a stop on fourth down.
That's 7 points for the defense. It's 11-3.
Yes, it is.
The defense leads 11-3 right now.
14 minutes and counting. I'm
might be
enjoying
a
this,
high-scoring
man.
game.
Kyle putting it together and reassuring it. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, Nate, now you have the combination of Ball and Steele over there on the right side.
Yes.
And they're going to be working against, looks like, D-Law and Hankins.
Osa to that
And we
side,
got
too.
a tight end over there for security. Running play to your right.
Not much running room over there.
No gain.
And Tyler Biotish got tripped up. He was supposed to pull that time and then lost his footing. That didn't help things.
At right side, Terrence Steele at right tackle. Great to see him back so quickly from his ACL surgery last December.
Good cut from Peyton Hendershot after that, but I was watching Osa Adigizua that whole time, and he forced Prescott to roll to his right. Luckily, Hendershot was the outlet, and that was an easy completion.
You can always believe when Osa in there, it's all about penetration, playing on the other side of the offensive line.
You
Almost got in there again.
You guys know
Yes.
what I'm looking at? I'm looking at the fact that Jalen Brooks is working with the ones right now.
He is rotating in there.
83, Jalen Brooks, 7th-round pick out of South Carolina. He and Hendershot are to the left of Dak. Looking right.
Damone Clark, DC, 33.
If I was Damone Clark defending, I was blocked by the goalpost.
That was 1st and 10, and they decided to go out into the flat. And the fact that Damone Clark, after that run play, got right back into the middle of that defense and was able to get outside on 1st and 10 like that, it's an impressive play from a second-year linebacker.
Draw
play. Beautiful.
Rico Dowdle.
Set up nice. Set up real nice.
Isaiah, he's got some burst to him.
He does.
He can put a foot in the ground and get upfield.
You heard Bill talking about his size earlier. He not only has size, but he has a nice first step.
Another third down here.
Another South Carolina guy. Cowboys scouts like South Carolina guys. Sean McEwen down inside the 5. First down.
You're going to see a lot of those contested catches by the tight ends and and inside receivers in this offense. Everything's going to be contested. Ball location matters with Dak.
Got Turpin, number 9, in the slot to the left.
Ooh, got
Dak
it.
looking left.
Touchdown.
And right at the goal line.
Touchdown.
They're calling him short.
Oh, don't do that.
Yep, line judge calling him short.
Tyron
Great
Johnson.
job by the line judge there, Isaiah.
No, good job, man. Who paid him?
Tyron Johnson did a great job, though. That was a one-on-one route, man coverage to the outside, and he was able to break back in, and Dak had his eyes on him the whole way.
Former Oklahoma State Cowboy Tyron Johnson at the goal line now.
Uh-oh.
This is going to be tough to tell.
Big fellas is in there. Sneak.
Sneak it.
We in there.
That's a pretty good play to call when you can't touch the quarterback. You might as well call the quarterback sneak down at the goal line.
Dak having a couple words. He was holding the ball out to Leighton Vander Esch and talk about the competition. You talk about the trash talk. There's a prime example.
It's going to go viral. I hope somebody.
That's right.
I hope one's recorded. It's going to go viral.
Does Leighton Vander Esch not respect Dak Prescott? No.
So our score, 11-10. The defense leads the offense 11-10. That's 7 points for the offense.
That was a 3-minute drive with 10 minutes and 33 seconds left.
Don't call it a comeback, Bill.
Who are you cheering for here, Isaiah?
Oh, you know.
We know who Isaiah's cheering for.
Former quarterback, wide receiver, tight end. I think
That's
he's
right. Everything, baby.
Yeah.
Now we have
Probably
Will
played left guard
Greer.
at one point.
Will Greer in at quarterback, number 15 out of West Virginia.
Oh, keep your feet. Oh.
Malik Davis.
Good job stepping up that time by Wanye Thomas. He's had a great camp. He was playing in the box that time, coming down from the safety position, and he had the backside help. No cutback lane there.
Nate, what does Awesome Richards have to do to make this roster?
Man, just be consistent, man. He's a draft pick, so he will be on the practice squad at least. He got nice lower body fit. He's pretty tough, and when he locks up with you, he can handle you. He's a physical guy more than quick.
Malik Davis.
Nice for Greer getting that away to Malik Davis.
Little screenplay, Bill.
Is that a delayed screen?
That was a delayed screen. He had to find him.
And you was talking about Richards. You see, even on that screen, he looked like he was a little bit lost.
Yep.
You know, he's got to get his confidence up and have a little bit of success here in camp so he can keep his confidence.
He looked the wrong direction. He looked to his left,
Yes.
even though he was running right. But he did. He found somebody. He found a defender, and he got a block down. But it took him a little hesitation.
By the way, Awesome Richards wearing number 76 out of North Carolina, playing left guard.
Nice block
Ooh,
ball,
yeah.
Richards. He just dug someone out of there.
Sam Will.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that was Jabril Cox. Does that count as a pancake, Nate?
Yes, it does. Whenever I can get you on your back, yes, it is a pancake. All we need is a maple syrup.
Ooh.
Not much there.
Quentin Bohanna got in there.
The last 2 practices, the defense has not been giving it up. Like they have been tight. They have been playing it hard.
DQ's getting into it over there, Bill. He over there getting hyped. Third down, baby.
That was Bohanna and Golston, a nice little 1-2 punch.
Yeah, those are not the 2 guys you want to see when you have the ball in your hand.
No, sir. Deuce Vaughn in the backfield now. Sam Williams out there, too. That's a good sign for Cowboys
Get it
fans.
to Deuce.
Protection.
Over the middle.
Late. A little late with the delivery of the ball. Can't be late with small windows, Bill.
Devin Harper defending there.
4th down, baby. What they going to do?
It's an 11-10 score. 7:58 to play.
So by the scoring system, there's opportunity for a 7-point swing for the defense right here,
Yes,
right?
this is a big play.
So a field goal doesn't do you any good in this situation because even if you make it, the defense gets 1 more point than you do.
Ooh, double A gap.
Heaving it.
Oh, that's PI. Throw the flag. Where's it at?
There's the flag.
It took a little bit.
Yeah, y'all hollered loud enough.
It took a little bit.
Yeah, Isaiah Whitty hollered. We got,
Isaiah,
hey,
what
yeah.
side are you on?
New set of downs, baby. Let's go.
He hollered loud enough. The guy was forced to do
You're
it.
sitting in the end zone.
Yeah.
We need to put you on one side. We got to get you a wireless mic.
Hey, man, I'm an offensive guy.
He's our offensive play caller here.
That's what you hope for as a quarterback. You throw it up there, you hope for the PI. You know the chances of somebody catching that, but
There it is.
are slim.
On the goal line, 7 minutes to play in the game. 3 minutes to play in this broadcast.
Things coming down to the wire.
A 2-minute warning goes to both benches.
All out blitz.
All right. By the way, we're just 2 minutes left here on TXA 21. We will continue on DallasCowboys.com, I'm told. So there.
That's bonus
It's
coverage.
just too much excitement.
Yeah.
This has been fun. It's been another day of competition. This camp has been intense all the way through, and you can see that. I mean, if Dan Quinn's getting into it, these assistant coaches bring in the energy as well, and players respond.
Well, it's a lot more interesting when you've got the play sheet and you know what they're playing for out on the field. You know the scoring system. 90 seconds left.
Oh!
Defense wins.
Malik Davis had the ball, fumbled it.
That puts my boy Dottle a little bit closer to that number 2, doesn't it?
Cannot.
Offense
Players
got
under
it.
review, says John Fossil.
Third and goal.
They took it away, Bill.
Ball on the 3-yard line. 3rd and goal. We're into our last minute here on TXA 21. A reminder, first preseason game against the Jacksonville Jaguars 1 week away, 4 o'clock next Saturday at AT&T Stadium as we come down to the conclusion of this very exciting Cowboys practice. 11-10, defense leads. Can the offense come through with something here? And you're going to throw it for the end zone and off the hands of John Stevens. Might have been a sack anyway.
It was a sack.
It's 4th down here. 4th down. Come on, you got to get it before we sign off on TXA 21 here. We're in the final 20 seconds. I don't think we're going to get a playoff.
No, I don't think so.
Nate Newton, Kyle Yeomans, Isaiah Stanback. This is Bill Jones. We appreciate you joining us here on TXA 21. And check us out on Twitter. We'll tell you who won this practice. And we will continue on DallasCowboys.com. Thanks for joining us here on TXA 21.
The
So
extra
that was a
weight.
stop. It was a defensive stop, right?
Defense win.
Defense wins the drill.
7 points for the defense there. That makes the score 18-10 in favor of the defense.
I don't like it, Bill.
First one to 18.
Now we are back. We got rid of those guys on TXA 21. We're back now. And the practice has concluded with a win for the defense there, an 18-10 victory for Dan Quinn's defense. What do we make of this, Isaiah?
Always good competition. Anytime you can get some reps and nobody comes up hobbling around, it's good stuff. They'll be able to go back, watch some film, get some critiquing, and come out here better tomorrow.
I think that's a great point. I think competition-wise, it was as competitive and intense as any practice. We've seen some hits. We've seen some popping with the pads and a little extra emphasis today. I liked what I saw from the defense again. I think this defensive line, this defensive front is very good. They're going to challenge this offensive line. It was a better battle this time than it was on Thursday, which that shows improvement from the offensive line, but they've still got a long way to go if they're going to slow down the defense.
First 2 days, offense was popping. I mean, it was in sync, they was in rhythm, and it was looking good. Last 2 padded practices, including this, most of this right here, defense is dominated, man. They look good, they look nice. And we got our little players that we like, Brooks and the Stevens guy and all of that, but defense overall, Dan Quinn, you banging, baby.
Why can't we do this every practice? This is fun.
I've got nothing better to do.
In fact, even if we don't broadcast, we might just do this as we watch practice anyway.
Same time Monday?
You know what I'm liking about it is you 3 guys have been up in the booth, man, and y'all are clicking, man.
Love it.
Yes, I'm just
It's training
glad
camp
to be
for
with
us,
y'all.
too.
That's right.
Click, right?
And we will be in the booth next Saturday. Kyle Yeomans will be calling the play-by-play against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And then the following Saturday at the hometown of Isaiah Stanback, the Seattle Seahawks, and then back home against the Las Vegas Raiders to close out the preseason. And we'll see you back at AT&T Stadium next Saturday and continue watching all of our podcast and coverage here on DallasCowboys.com. Have a great weekend, everybody.